You walk into your local gym, park, or wherever you hoop at. In one of the corners, there's a group of people arguing who is the greatest of all time. Some people bring up Michael Jordan, other people bring up LeBron James. And then there's a group of old heads saying that the NBA is soft and that players back then were different. They say it was a grown man's league and that Michael Jordan would average 50 in today's league. Even some analysts believe this.
If Michael played in this era, he'll average 50. He'll average 50 points.
How many points a game would Michael Jordan average if he played in this league, this style, the way they play now?
10 more than his highest year. So I think his highest year is like 35, 36.
I think he's averaged 37 one year.
Even though MJ's the GOAT in my eyes, these statements are completely false. To start off, defense was way different back then, and if anything, it was easier to score. The first thing that people think of when they think of 90s, 80s, 70s basketball is hand checking. They will say that it was much harder to score. They say that every time they went to the paint, they felt it.
Physically, it was a much more physical game than what it is today. You couldn't walk across the lane without getting checked, or the screens, illegal screens, holding. You always had to pay a price, be it if you were aggressive and you were a gun-ho guy and you go in with the understanding that I'm gonna get hit, I'm gonna pay the price. But that's part of the game.
This is just a revision of history. In reality, hand checking has been abolished in the league since the 1978-79 season. This clip from Jimmy High Roller's video shows it.
Jordan, hand check foul, Willie Anderson.
In the lower right and the left of your screen. 3 seconds. Jordan is fouled by Gerald Wilson.
All over. Austin out on Cappy. Here's Brian Williams in the hands of Jordan.
After looking at these clips, hand checking was obviously not a thing even back then. But now, let's look at Jordan's fouls compared to James Harden's fouls.
Harden guarded here by Kuzma. Harden going baseline, and he is fouled.
Let's take a look at these fouls.
Okay. Looks to reset. Harden with a deep three. Yes!
Hand action there.
Jordan was going against the bad boy Pistons at the time. The biggest, the baddest, the dirtiest team according to history. But looking at these fouls, they were just fouls that were called today. Yes, the league was more physical back then. There were more fights, more recklessness, more physical defense because a little bit of hand contact was still allowed. But comparing Jordan's and Harden's foul calls now, there's not that much of a difference besides the excess flopping by Harden. Also, yes, the league has gotten quicker. There's a quicker pace and teams are more three-point reliant now. So Jordan has to score more points now, right? No, that is completely false because during Jordan's reign on the NBA, these were the defensive rules. Looking at these rules, we can see that one of the biggest changes is that zone defense was not allowed. With this being said, zone defense is really not that common in today's game because of the amount of floor spacing. You cannot afford to leave a player open most of the time because almost everybody has a shot that they can knock down. But some of the other rules that were around back then made it a little easier for people to score. The first rule is that the defensive player has to honor the offensive player. This means the defender cannot leave their man to play help defense on an on-ball defender. Imagine someone like Kyrie Irving, who is considered to have the best ball handles in the league playing at this time, who would dribble up the court and tell the team to spread out the floor around the three-point line. Then he would ISO his defender. Yes, it will be a little harder to get past the first defender because a little bit of hand contact is still allowed. But once he gets past that defender, he has a wide open lane to the paint because the big man would not be able to help because the offensive team is spread across the three-point line. He could just do this all game and get easy buckets. The second defensive rule that made it easier for players to score is that players had to commit to their defensive assignment. Meaning, if a player can't shoot, you still had to guard him and couldn't sag off or leave him alone to play help defense on someone else. This would be Ben Simmons' dream scenario because teams would not be able to take advantage of his lack of shooting. The Sixers would easily be able to get Embiid in the post where he could have all the space in the world to operate because Simmons' defender wouldn't come to help. If the defender does decide to come to help, then he has to commit to a double team or would be called for an illegal defense. Once he commits, someone will be left wide open. With this being said, would Jordan really average 50 in today's NBA?
Hell no, to the no, 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 hell
down to the now.
I personally think he wouldn't come close. Obviously, if he played today, he would have a better 3-point shot and everything that comes with the NBA today. He would still have his insane work ethic and drive to win at all costs. But even with this, he would not average 50 points a game. During Jordan's highest scoring season in the 86-87 season, where he averaged an insane 37.1 points per game, the pace of the league was 100.8. Right now, the pace of the league is 100.2, which is lower than Michael Jordan's highest scoring season, which means he'll get less shots up if anything. Also, in the Last Dance documentary, we saw that Jordan would do anything to win, even if this meant less scoring, to get his teammates involved, which is exactly how he won all 6 of his championships. Unlike James Harden, who is the current leading scorer in the league by averaging 34.6 points per game, Jordan prioritizes defense, which will make it harder for him to score on the other end because of all the energy he was using. With all this being said, I believe Jordan would average anywhere from 30 to 37 points per game in today's NBA. He would still be one of the best scorers, but he would not be averaging 50 points a game. Thanks for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe down below if you enjoyed.